An applet has a definite structure that you need to be aware of. Like any other class, an applet can have a constructor, but it also has special methods named init, start, and stop. Here's a simple applet contrived to demonstrate the basic structure of an applet and how these methods are used. The variable named count is initialized to 1 and is displayed and incremented in each one of the methods to demonstrate the order in which each method is called. This constructor just prints out an identifying line of text and increments the count. Now, here's what happens in an applet. The web browser finds the applet's name in the HTML and passes that name to its Java plugin. The Java plugin reads the class file and executes a new command on it to create an object of the class. Whenever the new command is executed on a class, the constructor is executed. So it is the constructor of an applet that is the first code to be executed. Well, the first code to be executed is the initialization of the count variable, but that's a little deeper than we want to go right now. The next thing that is done by the Java plugin is to call the method named init. When you write an applet, you can include an init method, and it's guaranteed to be called before any of the other methods of the applet, such as paint. So you can do some initialization in here. The reason for the existence of the init method is so you can find out how big the window is by calling getBounds. You can't call getBounds from the constructor because the size isn't known yet. I'll be showing you how getBounds works in an upcoming session. After init, the start method is called if you need to do something to start your applet running. Once the start method is called, the paint method is then called with a graphics object, and the applet can use it to display itself in the window. When the window displaying the applet has disappeared, the stop method is called to let the applet know it can quit doing whatever it's been doing. The start and stop methods are perfect for managing animation, as we'll see later. Let's compile and run this applet so we can see the order of things being called. I pre-prepared an HTML file. Now this is another good reason for using the applet viewer when developing applets. You can print text and it will come out on the screen like this. It's handy for debugging. Anyway, you can see that the constructor executes first. Next, it's a call to the init method. The init method is called exactly once in the entire life of an applet. Next, the start method is called to kick the applet off and get it running. Then the browser calls the paint method to have the applet display itself in the window. The browser may call the paint method any number of times, and every web browser seems to have a different pattern for calling it, but you need to be ready for it to be called again and again at any time. Now look at this. We minimize and bring the applet back up. When the window of the applet is obscured, the stop method was called to halt whatever action was taking place. Then, when the window appeared again, the start method was called to get it going. Then, because the window needs to be refreshed, the paint method was called to put stuff on display in the window. At the very end, when the applet is shutting down, the stop method is called. That's pretty much the life cycle of an applet. You can count on the paint method being called a lot. The start and stop methods may be called any number of times, but they will always be called in order. That is, the start method is always called first, and from then on they alternate. Neither start nor stop methods will be called twice in a row without the other being called. The stop method is always called last. Oh yes, there's also the update method that's called whenever you call repaint, and the run method for animation, and that just about wraps up the predefined method names. It may seem like a lot to remember, but I'll be giving you some good examples you can use as starter applets when you want to write your own. That's the way I write an applet. Whenever I want to write an applet, I'll look around for one that's sort of like the one I want to write and copy it as my starter. Then I rip out all the stuff I don't need and build a new one from there. That's why some of my programs have extra import statements. I always seem to leave something from the previous program that I don't need in this one.